Hi everyone, good evening. We'll soon be starting the masterclass. Just hold on until everyone joins in. We'll start the webinar in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Thanks for joining in. So we've kept the chat box open in case you want to interact, introduce yourselves, feel free to do that. Meanwhile, you can start introducing yourselves. What are you doing right now? Where are you applying? What are your goals? Hi team, can we start or should we wait for 5 more minutes?
Hi, I think we are good to go. You can begin.
Yeah, perfect. Great. So very good evening. Hope you're having a great day and hope you're excited for this masterclass on statement of purpose that actually gets you noticed and seen by the admissions officer. So today we'll be doing a lot of activities. It'll be an engaging workshop. So please just be interactive in the chat box. You're gonna take back a lot from this session. So let's move on to the next slide. Let's start with our quick introductions. So before I move ahead with the workshop, with the masterclass, I'd like to introduce my own self. Who am I? So I'm Riddhi, everyone. Hello. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of Vision Voyage and a career coach as well. So, Vision Voyage is a consultancy that helps students and working professionals get jobs and study abroad admissions at top universities. So, I actually help them with personalizing their applications from start to end, right? So, that's how it started. And my journey started when I was doing my master's program myself at a study abroad university at one of the top universities, UCL, if you've heard of it. It is ranked eighth in the UK. So I was doing my dissertation, and while doing my dissertation, I realized that there is a very big skill gap that exists in India, in the education space in India. So, to validate my idea, I started speaking to a lot of students here in India. I also spoke to a lot of professors in top universities like LBS, LSE, UCL, and I just asked them one question. What is it that you look for when you recruit candidates, when you recruit students? Like you must be getting thousands of applications in a single day, right? You must be getting so many applications. How do you pick and choose that this person is right for this program? And here's, like they shared some really valuable insights with me. And based on their insights, I developed a very unique structure of an SOP and a curriculum that can actually help students get into these universities. Even if you don't have the grades, even if you feel like, oh, my GPA is low, what do I do now? But there is something unique for everyone, right? So, this is what I'm going to share with you in this masterclass. Whatever knowledge I've learned, hopefully I'm able to share it with all of you and you have a lot to take back. Yeah. So now that I have introduced myself, I'd like you to introduce yourselves too. So the chat box is open to you. Please just share whatever you're doing right now. Maybe fun fact about yourself, like anything that can get to know you better. Like I'd like to know you better. We can start interacting in the chat box. A fun fact about yourself. Let me go first if you want an example. A fun fact about me would be I can eat pasta all day, every day for all my meals. That's a fun fact about me. What about you? You can quickly introduce yourself, what you're doing, and a fun fact. We have a lot of participants joined in. Anyone can start introducing. Let's see who goes first. You can even introduce yourself if you don't want to share a fun fact. And I expect you to engage throughout. It's a very interactive masterclass, so we will be engaging and being active throughout the session. Can we open the chat box? I think some of the members are trying to respond, but the chat box seems disabled. We'll try to enable the chat box. Hi, team. Can we enable the chat box for everyone?
Hi, Riddhi. We request the attendees if they have anything about themselves to share with Riddhi, please drop it in the Q&A section. That will be better because right now we're sharing the screen, so it might get a little affected by it.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Let's all drop in the Q&A session. I think there is a Q&A section at the bottom. If you click there and if you want to share something, you can just drop in your answers there. It would be convenient for all of us. You can use the Q&A section at the bottom. Hi, Santosh. Great to hear from you. Would love to hear all of your introductions. All right. Meanwhile, we'll move on to our next question, and I really want answers for this question. You can still keep introducing yourself in the chat box in the Q&A section. In the same section, tell us about your dream university. Where do you want to go? What's your dream university? We'd love to know so that we know that you're getting the best out of this masterclass. Tell us what's your dream university. Again, you can use the Q&A section to answer. Anyone? We have 15 participants in the room. Anyone? What's your dream university? Any Harvard, Stanford, any university? Where do you want to go? Which country are you aiming for? Bonus points if you're already being interactive for the session. We have something for everyone towards the end of the session. We have a free resource for everyone. So we just need to know who's more interactive. So bonus points for really being interactive throughout the session. Okay, we have one response. Clark University. Great. Thanks, Atul, for sharing. Santosh says currently working in a company in Concentrix, commerce graduate looking to go for Clarkson University, USA. Lover of ice cream and chocolate. Great to know, Santosh. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for introducing. We have an ice cream lover in the room. Anyone else who would like to introduce themselves or share their dream university? Hi, Devanshi. Wow, you aim to go to Harvard. That's great. Glad to know. Think we have a lot of diverse universities, countries here. Anyone else would like to share? It would really help me know you better. All right, so you can keep introducing yourself and share about your dream university if you'd like in the Q&A section. We will move on with the masterclass. Can we move to the next slide? All right. So today we'll be covering 2 to 3 things related to the SOP. The main agenda for today is covering what is an SOP. I'm sure all of you are applying to universities and you know what an SOP is, but this is just a different perspective, perspective from the admissions officer's point of view, right? How to actually write a winning SOP that gets you into these top universities, some of the best practices that you can follow. We also have a bonus resource for you, as I mentioned, a free resource. So stay until the end. You will get access to these resources that we'll be sharing. And finally, we will be ending the session with a Q&A. So whatever doubts, whatever questions you have with respect to your SOP, your study abroad, you can share in the Q&A session. So this is what we'll be covering in today's masterclass. Let's move on. All right. So did you all know that the admissions officer spends only 6 to 7 seconds reading your essay? How many of you knew that? How many of you knew this fun fact, this fact about SOPs or the admissions officers? Anyone? Yes, no, you can again interact in the Q&A. When we start writing our SOP, we are often, overwhelmed by the information that we have. We want to include this, that, achievements, lessons learned, skill, but 6 to 7 seconds. How do you concise it all in 7 seconds and making sure that every important information is highlighted? That's the importance, right? I see so many people putting up in the Q&A that they didn't know that they only take 6 seconds. Absolutely, because they're getting thousands of applications in a single day. It's impossible to spend more than this time on a single SOP. And that's why it's super important for you to highlight what do you want to tell them, right? And this is not your resume. You need to really, really make sure that this is not your resume. Your resume is there to tell them your professional journey. But an SOP, it's way more personal, right? And when they have 6 to 7 seconds, your personality should come out. It's like you're meeting someone for a coffee chat. You're meeting someone for a coffee chat, and you only have 6 to 7 seconds to impress them. Has anyone ever heard of the concept of elevator pitching or personal pitching? This is exactly that. You're pitching yourself in just 7 seconds. So that's why it's super important. I mean, a lot of people in my career, in my journey, a lot of people have asked me, is writing an SOP even important? I'm like, no doubt, absolutely important. This is the first document. This is the first thing that they're going to see, when they are looking at your profile. This is the first time they're going to meet you, your personality, right? So let's see what an SOP is, what an SOP really is, a statement of purpose. We're all writing it. We should know what are some of the things to really keep in mind. So your SOP, it's your professional story in 500 to 1,000 words. Now, every university has a different criteria. So you need to go on their website and check what is the criteria for that particular program or for that university. So the word count varies from university to university. But in general, often we have seen it's between 500 to 1,000 words, right? And it's the most personal part of your application. Like SOP, as I mentioned, yes, there are a lot of documents that you'll be sharing with them, your projects, your resume, your portfolio. But this is one document where you will actually get to be person. You'll actually be able to tell them who you really are, where your personality is coming out. So here you will talk about why they should choose you, why do you want to do this course, why this university, and how does the course align with your goals. That's one thing that I see most people miss in their SOPs. The alignment. That's what will tell them the fit about this program. Like, how do you fit in to this program, right? So your SOP is your personal pitch. It's way more personal and should really reflect your personality. I've also gotten questions like, how personal can I be? as personal as you're comfortable, right? So I'll also be sharing some examples going ahead. I'll also share what I wrote in my SOP just to give you a hint as to what kind of hooks you can start with. So an SOP basically just reflects your academic journey, your motivations to do the program, and your overall vision, like your big picture. It also helps the admissions officers understand who you are beyond your grades and your test scores. So, yes, your grade sheets are there, your mark sheets are there to tell them, oh, you're smart, you're intelligent. But this is more than that. This is beyond that. This is something that will tell them if you will actually be comfortable in the classroom that you're going to. Yeah. And this is one document that can really tilt decisions in your favor, even with average GPS. Believe me, I've seen that happen in my career. And it really shows overall clarity, purpose, and your passion for the field, right? So this is what a statement of purpose is. If you have any questions, any doubts, you can use the Q&A session to sort of drop in your questions there. And as and when I see them, I will try to cover them. Otherwise, we have a session. We have 10 minutes in the end wherein I can cover all your questions. So please keep dropping your questions. Anytime you have a doubt, please drop in your questions. Yeah. So let's move on to the next slide. Perfect. Structure. I think this is something that we all feel stuck with. How do I start? Like, I remember when I was writing my SOP, I spent a month, like one whole month, just thinking how to start my SOP, what to write, how to introduce myself, what kind of hooks to use. Because back when I was going for my master's, there weren't a lot of resources available. There weren't anyone to tell me, okay, this is something that can actually help you get in, right? So that was the opportunity for me to do a lot of research, speak to a lot of alumni. And after doing all the research and after speaking to the professors and the admissions committee themselves, I have landed on to this structure. So this is a foolproof, tested structure that has helped a lot of students get into top universities. It can probably help you too. So the very first thing that your SOP needs is a hook. Now, every time that you are scrolling on Instagram, what makes you stop and watch a reel? It's the hook, right? It's something, that first line that someone says, that really grabs your attention. That's the same with an SOP, a hook that really grabs their attention because it sets the tone for the entire document, for the entire essay. So you can either start with like a personal anecdote or a big insight or a quote, which is a bit more traditional. It's something outdated as well. So I wouldn't really recommend today, but a personal anecdote would be great to begin with. Like something like, for example, the day I witnessed the devastating impact of whatever issue you are trying to, solve, I knew I had to dedicate my life to finding solutions. You're just telling them right away in the first sentence why you want to do this. What is your motivation behind choosing this field? Yeah. Or it could be something personal. Like I was applying for an entrepreneurship degree, and this is how I started to show how adaptable I am for this degree. Hailing from a little known town in India, growing up in a troubled family, and eventually shifting to the city of Mumbai shaped me in ways I never imagined. And then I linked it to my role model, Mr. Ambani, and how that really, you know, helped me pursue my goal of entrepreneurship or have that vision that if he could be an entrepreneur, I could be an entrepreneur too, even though I'm from a small town, right? So it's like really, really putting yourself out there and giving them a very catchy hook that grabs their attention and they feel like, oh, I want to read more. Tell me more about this story, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a story. It's not just an essay, it's a story. Yeah. So you start with an opening hook, which is an interesting hook, a personal anecdote, a quote. You can also start with a powerful quote if you can't think of a lot of personal anecdotes, but try to sort of make it interesting. Yeah. The second thing that you would add is your academic journey. What shaped your interest in the field? What have you been doing? What have you studied? What projects or achievements have you done that really stands out? So you can, if you have recently graduated, if you're pursuing your undergrad, then you can mention some projects that you're doing at your university. What are the skills that you're learning there? right? So talk about your academic journey a little bit. What are you studying? What have you studied? What projects or achievements stand out? What inspired you academically to pursue this master's program or to this degree, whatever degree that you're applying for, right? So have that angle in, start that after your hook. Then once you have identified or once you have mentioned your academic journey, then you can go on to your professional exposure or your practical work experience. Now, whatever internships you've done, whatever research projects you've done, anything at all, you need to mention that after this. So the third paragraph will be about your professional exposure. This is the first hand experience that you have, which is related to the program. This experience will tell them how is this person ready, how prepared is this person for this program, right? So it's your past experiences that make you ready, that make you work ready, and that give you that practical exposure to really thrive in any program. So this is a very, very important part of your recipe, right? So here you can discuss your practical learnings, your skills acquired. And a very big tip here is don't just list your responsibilities. Don't just list your tasks. I did that, I did this, I made this project, I made this presentation. Yes, these are great, but they're looking for more. They're looking for the impact that you created. Achievements are great, but they are incomplete without the result. What impact did you create? What contribution did you make at your workplace? They're interested in knowing that more, right? So always talk about the impact, the results. Mention the skills that you learned in the process, some soft skills, interpersonal skills, technical skills, whatever skills you learned in the process, mention them there. Yeah. So that will be the third part of your SOP. Then we go on to the fourth part. Very important again, why this program and university. Now, most people, most people would just say, I want to go to this university because it's the most reputed or because it's ranked eighth or seventh in the world. All these common things. Everyone's going to write that. That is why you need to write something that is unique. That's something that no one can copy. It's new information for them, right? And how do you do that? It'll only and only come with research. You need to really dig in deeper. You need to do thorough research about the university, about the program. And when I say research, not just look at the website, talk to alumni, go on LinkedIn, connect with the alumni, connect with the directors, get more information, get first-hand information about the program. What makes the program unique? What are your goals? How is the program going to help you achieve your goals? Right? Why this university? Now, let's say you have two universities that you're confused about and you need to make a decision. How will you make that decision? What is your priority? Is the course curriculum your priority? The reputation, the brand image your priority? How do you know which university is great at what? Right? So you will have to really go in deep. So deep that you will also have to see some modules, like talk about specific modules. Let's say you're pursuing marketing. So in marketing, what is that one module that you are really looking forward to? Like, let's say SEO, digital marketing, content marketing. What is it that really excites you? If you know the professor, great. Talk about the professor. Say that you've been following them, you've been following their research, and you would really like to work with them. You'd really like to sort of get mentorship from them, right? So these are the points that you should be mentioning. Like you should really, really spend some time on this section of your SOP, right? So don't just like start with because you are a top university, I want to go here, right? So you really need to take a step ahead and do all the extra things that I just mentioned. And I feel like even if you're talking to your alumni or anybody, you can even mention that. After speaking to a lot of alumni, I realized this program really stands out in XYZ. Yeah. So I would say that personalize this section a lot. Don't just say the things that everyone's been saying. And it's like you're telling them why you want them, right? And who doesn't like that? When our friends or anyone who comes and tells us, "Oh, you're great, and this is why I like spending time with you," we feel great about ourselves, right? So this is how when you tell them why you want to be in their program, they get to know what are your motivations to actually be in that university, be in that classroom, and get that learning from them, right? So that's about the fourth section. Then the fifth one would be your future goals. So I think a lot of people forget to mention this in their SOP, but this is super important. You need to mention, where do you want to head? What is your vision? You're not just doing this for the sake of it. You're not just doing this because, everyone's doing a master's degree and I want to do it. You're doing this because you have a bigger vision in life. And you need to mention how this program helps you achieve that vision, right? That's where your alignment comes in. So first mention your goals. Where do you see yourself after this program? What do you see yourself doing? Where do you see yourself working? So mention your vision, your future goal, and then align it with the program. How are some of the modules here, or whatever the unique aspect that the university has will help you achieve your future goals? That's when you're aligning with the program, the university, as well as your fit. That's how they will see. That's an all-rounded SOP. Like, you are actually closing the circle and showing that you're really fit there, right? And then finally, a conclusion or a closing statement that just reinforces your drive and how you will add value to the program. Yeah, is that clear to everyone? We have some questions in the chat box. I'm just going to read them out. Uh, I'm not good in preparing SOP and I've never tried to. I don't know what to fill properly in it. So don't worry, Santosh. We will be sharing a lot of resources with you, a free resource with you that will help you do that. And even in the masterclass, we will be sharing some examples as to what are some good SOPs, some statements that you can write, opening hooks that you can mention, that you can start your SOP with. So a lot of resources coming your way. So don't worry, don't panic, don't get overwhelmed. Just try to process everything as it comes. Yeah. All right. So we're done with the structure. If anyone has any questions, please put it in the Q&A section and I will take them up. Let's move on to the next slide. Now I have an interesting activity for you all. I'll be showing you two SOP samples. It's an excerpt from an SOP. You have to tell me which is the good SOP, which is the bad one. Yeah. So we have SOP 1 and we have SOP 2. You have to tell me which is the good SOP and which is the bad SOP. Okay. So I'm just going to read it out for you. SOP 1. During my undergrad studies in computer engineering at XYZ University, I developed a predictive model for analyzing social media trends, which sparked my interest in data analytics. This experience, coupled with my internship at XYZ company, where I worked on optimizing data pipelines, solidified my passion for data science. I'm particularly drawn to university's name, master's program, due to this emphasis on machine learning and the opportunity to collaborate with the professor, mention the name, on research into algorithmic bias. My goal is to leverage data science techniques to develop equitable solutions in the tech industry. So this is your first SOP. Then we'll also show you the second SOP. Sample 2. I first discovered my interest in data science when I took a course in my third year of engineering. I found it fascinating and began exploring topics like data mining, machine learning through YouTube tutorials and blogs. My final year project was focused on e-commerce analytics, and while I faced several challenges, I managed to complete it successfully. I now want to build on this by studying at university name, which I've heard has excellent faculty and resources. I'm committed to growing my skills and becoming a data scientist at a leading company. Any guesses? Which one is the good SOP? Anyone? Sample 1 or sample 2? You can just put it in the chat box. Which one do you think is a good SOP? I'm really curious to know which one you pick. Okay, we have one answer. Nikshit says sample 2. Okay. Any reasons why? Nikshit, any reasons why you picked sample 2? Any more answers? Anyone else? Who else thinks SOP sample 2 is the good one? Anyone else who agrees with Nikshit or disagrees? You can use the Q&A section. Okay, we have a lot of sample 2s here. Okay. Shanmuga says because it's specific. Atul says SOP 2. We have one more attendee who says SOP 1. Okay. So most of you are saying sample two. Is that correct? Anyone else who'd like to share their views? No? All right. Let me share what the correct answer is. So all of you are actually wrong. Sample one is the correct answer because, again, it's an official document that you are sending to the university. Sample two, if you see, is very vague and very informal, right? So if you read this SOP again, if you go over it, it's very generalized. There is no personalization, even though it's specific and to the point. It's very generalized. Also, there are resume-like statements without any depth, without any specifics. So these are the information. These are the kind of information that I would mention in my resume, not in my SOP. So if you are looking at it from the standpoint of specific and concise, then it's great. But again, it's not giving me any depth. It's very vague. I am left to think, okay, they did some YouTube courses, but are they even credible? Did they do any degree or any diploma? Did they get any experience? Right? So a lot of details are missing. Also, there's a lot of vague language use which I wouldn't recommend using, like fascinating, excellent faculty, leading company. Now, excellent faculty is very generalized. You need to mention what is it that you really like about the faculty. Which modules do you really like? What is so fascinating about this program? You can't just say it's fascinating. Yeah. Also, learning via tutorials is fine, but without specific outcomes or application is just very surface level, very base level. Also, this doesn't really explain why this university fits beyond general praise. Like, okay, this is a great university, but it doesn't tell me anything about your motivations to study at this particular university. Like this university, if you apply to this university, they're just going to be like, oh, if they have a choice to be made, will they even choose me? So a lot of universities have seats, like very limited seats for a lot of students, and they really would like you to tell them why you deserve that seat. So this SOP is not telling me anything about that, right? Whereas if we go to the first SOP, when we go to the SOP 1, it's a good starting, it's a good hook. During my undergraduate studies in computer engineering at XYZ University. So this gives them credibility. Okay, they've done a formal education at XYZ University in this degree in computer engineering before. That's where he developed a predictive model for social media trends. And that's what sparked his or her interest in data analytics. So it's very clear his motivations, his passions to do this particular field is very clear in the first line itself. Why this person wants to do data analytics, right? Then they are also mentioning about their experience. This experience coupled with my internship at XYZ company gave me so and so skills, right? So not only they're starting with a hook, but they're also mentioning their experience. They have a lot of relevant examples, I would say. So instead of just saying I'm interested in data, they are showing it by sharing hands-on experience, relevant projects. Also, this shows a lot of curiosity and initiative on your part when you do that, right? They're also mentioning some industry exposure and practical experience in that particular field, if you see. Their personal motivations are also aligned with the program. They're all connecting the dots, how these experiences have shaped their goals, right? So I'm particularly drawn to this university due to its emphasis on machine learning and opportunity to collaborate with the professor. So everything is so specific. This person is mentioning why this program at this university, which professor they want to collaborate with, how is it going to help them in their research, and what is their goal, right? And how is that program going to help them in their goal? So that is why this is a good example. So it's very much tailored to that particular university, and there is a big picture goal. It's not just like I want to get into this company after this. It's a very big vision. Even if you want to work at a company, you have to share your vision. Why do you want to work there? What is your big term goal? What is your long term goal, right? So hence this is a good SOP. But thanks a lot for interacting, everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, we have some questions again. Yes, Devanshi, you're right. SOP 1 is as in indicates passion. Uh, can I know AI can be used in preparation? That's a great question. Can we park that question? I'm going to take up this question towards the end once we are done with the masterclass, but it's a great question, Santosh. Please park that thought. We will be covering in towards the end. So, just some do's and don'ts for you to go over. I'm sure, like all of you know these, but just revising and going over these points so that, when you are writing your SOP, it's very clear what is it that you really need to do and what is it that you need to avoid completely. So, the do's, be authentic. Don't try to copy someone else's structure. I mean, structure is fine, but don't try to copy anyone else's content or examples, experiences, because they're going to be very different from your own. And it's just not going to align. So try to be as authentic as possible. And the fact about using AI, you can use AI for your structuring and your grammatical errors. But when you are writing your SOP, I would like you to write it on your own. Like, I think that's where the authentic aspect will come, right? Otherwise, with AI, that personal touch is going to go away. uh, Unless you're like a prompt master. But I would really again recommend you to write your SOP on your own, so that that personal touch is intact and not going away anywhere. If you want, you can refine it with the help of AI, but definitely start writing it on your own first. Use specific examples. Definitely, your SOP is incomplete without examples. So, even if you've done a lot of internships, the focus should be on what kind of projects have you done? What skills have you learned? What impact have you made? So, please just mention specific examples of those achievements or those projects. Also, you want to, yes, it's a personal document, yes, it's personalized, but also the tone should be formal. Like, it shouldn't be a very informal tone. So if we saw the second SOP had a very semi formal, informal tone. So you don't want to be doing that. So you want to keep the tone formal yet personal. So you will have to bring in that balance, in your tone when you're writing the SOP. Also, try to focus on impact, not just your responsibilities. Super important. And tailor each SOP to the specific program or university, as we saw in the example before, right? Very tailored to the program and the university, the modules, professors, alumni. You can talk about so many things. So it really, depends on your research, how well you are researching about these things, right? The don'ts, don't just list your resume. Your resume is there to tell them your professional journey. So don't just list out things that you've done. Uh, Try avoiding jargons as much as possible. A lot of people also fill up a lot of quotes on their SOP. I would say avoid using a lot of jargons, a lot of quotes. Yes, you're going for a technical degree, but that doesn't mean you should involve a lot of jargon there. Like including skills is good enough, but just what if? The chances are less, but just what if the admissions officer is from a different field, right? And they can't understand the jargons. So it's super important for you to keep it very, the language should be formal, simple, yet personal, right? So avoid using a lot of quotes. Quotes are just taking up space. That space could be utilized to share your achievements, your experience, your impact. So don't waste space on, like quotes or jargons. Don't make it generic. Like, just try to personalize it as much as possible. Do avoid using generic statements like reputed university. I want to do this because I'm passionate about it. Everyone's gonna say that, right? So stop making it generic. Very, very important. Do not exceed the word count. A lot of countries, a lot of universities have strict rules wherein they don't even read a single word beyond the word count. So make sure that you are checking what the word limit is for your particular program and university, and you are sticking to the word count. Yeah. It's going to be a task to make it all concise in 500 to 1,000 words or whatever the word count is, but try to make it concise. Try to deliver everything in that word count. I think that's the beauty, right, of writing an SOP. And just avoid using these generic statements, as I mentioned, since childhood. unless it's truly powerful. Yeah. So that's it. That's about the do's and don'ts. Uh, we'll move on to the next slide. So we have an interesting activity planned for you, and we'll give you 5 minutes for that so that you start writing your SOP from now on. Like no more procrastinating. I know that when something's difficult, we procrastinate a lot. Like, let me do it tomorrow, day after, next month. But let's not do that. Let's start it here and now. So we want you to write a hook for your SOP, and we are also giving you a prompt. Your prompt is describe a moment that defined your academic journey. If you have an interesting hook, amazing, start with that. But if you can't think of any hook, you can use this prompt and start your SOP. Yeah, you have 3 to 5 minutes to complete this task. And I would love for you to share your hooks or your SOP, whatever you have come up with in the Q&A session. Like, just share it in the Q&A box. The group could really benefit. You could get some real time feedback. It's a great chance for you to get feedback as well, right? So just take, I think it's 6:41. We'll come back at 6:50. Let's give you more time, or maybe 6:47. Let's do 6:47. Yeah. So just here's the prompt. Let me know if you have any questions about this activity. You can put it in the box again, Q&A box again. Hope everyone's clear. When the time is up, I will really ask you to share it. So make sure you're doing this activity. And don't just keep it in your mind. Take a pen and a paper and actually write it down. When you're putting things down, it becomes more clear. Your thoughts become more clear. So try to put things down on paper rather than, typing, or rather than just keeping it in your mind. So try to jot it down, whatever points come to your mind, right? Use this prompt well. And if you are done, you can start sharing your prompts in the Q&A box. Great. We've started getting the prompts. I think most of you should be done by now. So if you're done, keep posting your Q&A, your hooks in the Q&A box. We'll read them out. We have one hook here. I've always been curious about how technology works and how it can make our lives easier. This interest led me to explore artificial intelligence and its role in solving real world problems. Okay, thanks for sharing your hook. First of all, thanks for going first. So just a quick feedback. It's a great hook to begin with. It really shares your passion, but it would be great if you could add a personal anecdote or a time in your life that really got you hooked to AI. Like, what was that one time when you felt like, oh, this is great and I want to do something about it? Right? It can be even something like playing Lego. So let's say you are, like how playing a game of chess or how playing Lego. It's a bit complicated, right? You're thinking of a lot of possibilities and then finally making a move, finally trying to build something that shows a lot of your interest, your passion into that field. So if someone's like, let's say, going into engineering or data, analytics, solving complex problems, I'd really advise them to start with something like this, like a personal anecdote or a game that they like playing, that they really enjoy playing, that'll really help them. So this is great, but needs more depth, needs more personalization. Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else would like to go next? Okay, we have another in the box. While I'm pursuing, you mean? While I'm pursuing graduation from first year, I started with personal interest, knowing about the stock market and doing practically. It built my interest to pursue my career in investment banking and upgrade my personal skills, evolve another country. It's better to pursue my studies and my career investment banking in the USA. Okay, so Santosh, this is great, but it's a very big sentence. You need to break it down into smaller sentences because when I'm reading it, I'm not able to break, so it's like it's going into the loop. So try to use smaller sentences, simple sentences, right? And just make sure that you're grammatically correct. So there are some grammatical errors as well. Try to avoid them. So this is where you can use AI to structure your sentences to see if the sentences are grammatically correct. But otherwise, a good start. Thank you for sharing. And definitely use smaller sentences. You can also talk about like what stemmed your interest in investment, like rather than just mentioning the time frame. Also talk about what was it that really stemmed your interest in investment banking or in stock market. Yeah. So the time's up. Anyone else would like to share their hooks as well and get some feedback? Anyone? Here we have one more hook. In my second year of engineering, I spent weeks trying to build a small AI model that could detect emotions from text. I struggled a lot. I didn't fully understand the algorithms and my code kept failing. But the day it finally worked, I felt proud. That small success made me realize how much I enjoy solving real problems through AI, even when it's challenging. Great. I think this is a really good hook. It states her passion, his or her passion. It really talks about why do they want to pursue this in the future as well? What is it that keeps them going? Right? So I feel like all in all, this is a great way to start. Yes, of course, there's obviously scope for improvement. There's always scope for improvement. It could be more personalized, more depth, more details. But I think this is a good point to start, a good point to begin, right? You can also mention your academic degree if you're doing something in the field, if you pursued something, and This is why, and why are you excited to apply for this program? Just that one line would really add a lot of value, right? In your hook or in your introduction. But otherwise, all in all, a great hook. In my final year, a late night breakthrough with a tricky data set shifted my technical focus to data science, sparking a passion for turning chaos into clarity. Nikshit, this is a great hook again, very short, crisp, to the point. However, the tone is very informal. As I mentioned, an SOP can't have an informal tone. You need to have a balance between a formal tone and the personalized touch. So it's great that it's personalized, but also try to bring in some kind of formality into your writing, right? Otherwise, it's great. So, thanks everyone. Thanks a lot for participating in this activity and sharing your hooks. Hopefully, you got some valuable feedback that you can implement going back. So, as I mentioned in the beginning, that we will be sharing a free resource for you. So, we've curated a guide, like a starter guide for you to start writing your SOP. We know how overwhelming it can be, right? To sit and write every word. And that's why we've compiled and put together everything that can help you write an effective, a winning SOP, to crack all the top universities wherever you want to go. So we have dropped the link in the chat box. You can access the link there. You can access the free resource there. Let us know if you have any questions. If you can't access it, just get in touch with the team and we'll get it resolved. But the link is there in the chat box. Please go have fun with writing your SOP. This is your bonus resource. As we promised, we're sharing it in the chat box. Now it's time for Q&A. So we're done. We're almost done with our masterclass. We've covered some great points on what is an SOP, what kind of a structure to use that'll actually help you bring out that unique story. And finally, we also discussed good SOP, bad SOP, how to write an interesting hook for your SOP. And finally, it's time for Q&A. So whatever questions you have, you can put it in the Q&A box and I will take them one by one. Hope everyone's able to access the link. It's time for Q&A. Anyone? Any questions related to your SOP, your study abroad journey, anything you want to ask, share? We would love to hear from you. This is a chance for you to really, really get your answers firsthand. So use this chance, use this opportunity to clear any doubts you have before you start writing your SOP. Because as we mentioned, this is super important, right? This is one document that's gonna be a do and die for you, like a do or die situation for you. It'll really help you get in. It'll really help you flip the tables. So just make sure that you're doing it right. So any doubts, any questions you have, anything at all. Okay, we have one question. How can I check the grammar after writing the SOP? So there are a lot of AI tools that will help you do that. As soon as you're done writing your SOP, either on a Word document, Google Doc, whatever document it is, either you can upload the document or you can copy paste the content, whatever your content is, copy paste your whole SOP and put it on ChatGPT or any AI tool or Grammarly. In fact, Grammarly is a great tool to check your grammar. So use these tools, use these AI tools to check the grammar. It'll also tell you your sentence structure, your tone, everything. So definitely rely on Grammarly for your grammar or anything else related to your SOP. So I think Grammarly also has a free subscription. So you can use the free subscription to get the basic details, but if you want more details about your structure, formation, etc., then you might have to pay a premium for that. My university is Clarkson for MBA. I'm loving to build my career in investment banking. Can you help me out in preparation of SOP? Yes, Santosh, the upgrad team can really help you. study abroad team can really help you prepare your SOP. But the guide that we have shared also has a lot of resources for you to have a look at. So please just go back, have a look at the resources, reflect on what we did today, and just start writing it. But you can definitely get in touch with the team. Any other questions? If I'm going for a master's in financing, but I have done a HR internship, so there will be negative points to mention HR. Hi, Kajal, that's a great question. Uh, Obviously, there won't be any negative points for mentioning the HR experience, but you have to see how relevant that is to your master's in finance, right? Like, there could be a lot of soft skills, a lot of interpersonal or transferable skills that you might have learned from your HR internship. It could be like reporting, or it could be anything related to organization, or you might have used certain tools. Any skill that you can really apply in finance, then still it's a great internship to mention. So don't just avoid it thinking it's completely useless. Think about what is it that I learned there and what is it that I can apply. Similar thing, whatever I learned, whatever skill, XYZ skill I learned here, communication, reporting, how can I apply or implement that skill in my master's in finance? So that is what will help you bring that alignment with the program or with the master's. Hope that helped. So don't just discard the experience, look for transferable skills. And if you can't find any transferable skills, then you have to see if that experience is really relevant, right, to the degree. Hi, so there will absolutely be a different SOP. So a lot of universities, it depends on from university to university. The question is there a different SOP for scholarships? Do you have any document for sharing such tips for scholarships? So a lot of universities require a different essay to be written for a scholarship application, but a lot of universities consider your main documents like your SOP, your LORs as the scholarship itself. So you really need to do some research as to what your particular university requires. And if it requires a different essay, then the format would be a little bit different than this for your scholarship essay. Okay, let's see if we have any more questions. Okay, we have one more question. Should I always start with the hook? Um, it's not a rule per se, it's not a mandate, but it's good if you start with a hook. Like it just grabs the attention of the admission officer, right? So they're not, it sets the tone for your entire essay, for your entire SOP, it sets the tone and it gives them more. So it's like how before a movie we watch a trailer and it gives us a glimpse of what this story is all about, what this movie is all about. So this hook is going to give them a glimpse of your SOP. So that's why it's recommended that you start with a hook, but it's not a mandate. I think we've taken a lot of questions and we're almost done. We're up with the time as well. So we can't take any more questions. But thank you so much, everyone, for participating, for being so active throughout the masterclass. Hopefully, it helped you. Hopefully, you had a lot of points to take back and implement. And hopefully, you will start writing your SOP as soon as you go back home. So thank you so much. I had a great time. Hopefully, you had a lot to take back too. Thank you. If you have any more questions, you can get in touch with the team and they'll be able to help you out. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.